So the other day I had a dream, and I wrote it down because I knew it had meaning for me. I was in a huge mall, crowded with people. I've dreamed of this place before. Endless wings with shops and multiple levels. It was a labyrinth. Before this dream, I could never find my way out. I was constantly caught in loops and circling back around, finding myself in places that I had already been. But on my way, walking, I saw a store that had been emptied out, away from all the people, dimly lit. I walked in and noticed the floor was soaking wet. And I turned around and saw Brenda, an older woman I used to work at this place, 𝗗𝗗𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃. 𝗗𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 was a place that cares for those who have intellectual disabilities. And she was mopping. The crowd of people walking in the background were completely oblivious to where she and I were. And I said, "You might want to wring out your mop more. The water is pooling heavy on the floor." But she didn't look up at me. She answered something under her breath. I couldn't make it out. But then I realized she didn't have a mop bucket. I turned back into the store to continue deeper. But the water around the corner of the store started getting really deep. And it was eerie and unsettling. I could tell I didn't know just how deep the water actually was. And so I turned back to her, and she locked eyes with me. And she said, "I wouldn't go that way, child. People get lost that way." And she went back to mopping, looking at the floor. She's the first person I ever recognized or spoke to in the mall. So I exited the room, walked back into the crowd, and when I turned back to look at her again, the store was gated with bars and all the lights were out. And it was odd. I went along and wandered a while through the crowd. No one paid any notice to me. I tried to ask a few people for directions out, but it was like I wasn't even there. They just continued on and ignored me. Then Javier came from behind me and put his arm in mine and asked me, "What are you doing here?" Javi is an ex-boyfriend of mine and was probably the first person that genuinely loved and considered me. I just wasn't ready for him at the time. I didn't know what love was. I didn't know that I could be loved when I was with Javi. I honestly didn't even believe that I could be loved at all. And I had a hard time. But he found me in the mall and asked me what I'm doing there. And I said, "I'm lost. I can't find my way out." And he said, "Come on, I'll take you out." And he led me to the big glass doors, but was almost creeping, like fast walking, like he wasn't trying to get caught helping me. And as I got to the doors, he moved me in front of him and just kind of pushed me out the door and said, "Go on now, be quick, Gracie." And as I looked back to thank him, he was gone. I was outside. And the day was overcast. It was like maybe noon. And it was like late spring, maybe early summer. And there were more people outside, a whole different kind of crowd, but it was chaotic. And I saw a car parked in the lot with two women. It looked like a mother and her teenage daughter. And she was standing by the driver door calling for help, and the hood was on fire. Like flames were just shooting out of the hood, but she was crying for help because she had been robbed. And her daughter was just zoned out on her phone, sitting on the curb. As I walked through the lot, I noticed a man about 4 or 5 spaces down from them starting to walk towards them. And I could feel his horrible intentions. And I was staring, and he must have felt it because he turned and caught me looking at him. And his stare was so evil. And he turned towards me instead. And it was interesting because my immediate reaction, I felt that flutter of adrenaline, like I wanted to run. But a part of me knew that a chase would have undoubtedly ensued, and I'd be running for my life. But instead, I raised my hand to my face with my fingers to my eyes and then pointed them at him like, I see you. I see you. And I said it with a very firm and unafraid voice. And no sooner than I aimed my gazing fingers at him, a cloud just kind of burst out, and a police officer ran from this smoky cloud and out of thin air and tackled this creepy guy. And within split seconds of the officer tackling him, they both disappeared into another cloud of smoke and were gone. Like, poof. And I realized I had a power, like a superpower. And I was so fearless, and I felt it fill my body. Like I was divinely protected and truly safe despite all of the chaos going on around me in the world. And I started running so fast, it was like supersonic speed. And I woke up.